Welcome to NEXTGames Odyssey series, episode 55, against Ambus on the Vengeance 5 difficulty. Now I found Ambus originally to be the most challenging of the shield JLNMs to figure out, but using either of the two strategies that I show today, it should make it a rather trivial fight for people taking it on. Now while you see the start of the mewing strategy that I'll recommend, let's go ahead and go over what you're to expect from Ambus. Now Ambus is a Yegrant type boss that can only be damaged through the use of slashing weapons. Now he has several nasty AoE abilities that can make this fight turn south in a hurry, so let's go ahead and go over them first. The first ability is Root of the Problem. Now this is an AoE absorb buff and TP ability that will also inflict stat down. Firefly Fandango is a paralyze ability. Potted Plant will inflict slow. Canno Pierce will inflict massive damage spread among the targets in range, so you want to negate this with either Migawari or Scarezo. Uproot will slow and hate reset on the target it hits. This also will open the red proc window. Now in order to get rid of the fetters that are spawning and close the red proc window here, you actually need to perform a 3-step skill chain, so make sure you do that as soon as Uproot is used. Now the last and most dangerous ability that he can use is Timber. Now this is only going to be used under 50% hit points, but it does massive damage to everyone in range that cannot be mitigated in any way. Now this is the ability that normally is the cause of most wipes when fighting Ambus, and will normally kill everyone in range when it's used. So now that we've talked over the abilities that you're going to see and just how nasty they are, let's talk about how to deal with them. Now in our first strategy, the one that you're seeing right now, we're dealing with them by not allowing Ambus to use any abilities at all during this fight. We do this by spamming Mewing Lullaby on Summoner, and Reaving Wind and Feather Tickle on Blue Mage. Now a single damage dealer will be doing all of our damage in this run. In this case, it's Cerberus on Dark Knight. Also in the party is a Bard and Corsair for buffs, and a White Mage for curing. Now as Ambus passes 50% hit points, the Summoner should immediately use Alexander to make the last part of the fight as safe as possible, and then go back to mewing. Now at 25% hit points, the Summoner should use Astral Conduit and spam mewing for the length of it to allow the Dark Knight to get in as much damage as they can, as quickly as they can, during this critical final part of the run. Hopefully, he should finish Ambus just as Conduit wears. Now I used it just a few seconds too soon in this battle example, but it should give you a good idea of the timing of when you should be using it. Now this strategy works very well, but it relies on very specific jobs, namely Summoner and Blue Mage, and if anyone mistimes a TP reduction ability under 50%, he will almost certainly use Timber and end your run, so everyone has to be absolutely on point in order for this strategy to work. Now as an alternative strategy to this, I came up with another strategy that many groups and party configurations can use, though it does work best with a ninja in the group. Now, I found that when I was trying to solo Ambus on Vengeance 0 and even on Vengeance 5, I would often get him to 5 to 25% hit points before he would kill me with that Timber ability. This made me realize that I should be able to do the same thing in a party setup. So the strategy here is to go in with 2 potent damage dealers and 4 support. Now I've used this strategy several times on both Vengeance 5 and 0, and it's worked every time, so it also should be fairly reliable for groups to pull off. Now in this strategy, you fully buff as usual at the start of the run, and then the ninja, or whoever is going to be the primary tank, should go get the boss and pull him down to one of the 2 pillars that is behind where you start the run. Now all mages should position themselves between the 2 pillars as to not be in AoE range. Now the 2 slashing damage dealers in this case, me on Ninja and Chimex on Warrior, both start doing damage as quickly as possible to Ambus, while the White Mages keep them alive and enfeebles off of the damage dealers. Now once you hit 55% hit points, this is when the key part of the fight happens. One of the 2 damage dealers should run to the other pillar, decide who that's going to be before your run starts. Now once that damage dealer runs over there, you should have one at each pillar, with the mages right in the middle of them, out of AoE range of Ambus, but still able to cure both of the damage dealers at the respective pillars. Now Ambus will either follow that damage dealer to the other pillar or stay put, depending of course on who has hate at that particular moment at 55% hit points. Now the person he stays on is to continue getting damage in as fast as they can. Now in most cases, They will be able to take him down to 5 to 25% hit points before Timber is used, but occasionally Timber can be used right after 50% hit points, so make sure you're ready for it. Now once either Timber or Uproot is used, Mbuz will immediately head off towards the opposing pillar to attack the other DD. Now this is exactly what we want. Now once he tears off towards that DD, the other DD is now going to become the main tank and continue the fight in getting in all of our damage. Now if Timber was the ability used that sent Mbuz over there, and you're on Ninja, this is when you're going to be most useful, as you now want to use the Jingalkri to unweaken yourself and then get rebuffed, so that if a second Timber is used, you are ready to hop in and finish the fight. Now keep in mind, if Uproot was used, instead the aura window will now be open and enmity will be reset, so the second DD needs to perform a 3-step skill chain as soon as possible to drop that aura. Now once the aura is down, proceed with damage. For support, I recommend a White Mage for cures, a Bard and Corsair for buffs as always. Now in that 6th and final spot, you do have some flexibility here. Now, in this example, we're using a Summoner, which does work very well, as they can also add some Mews in there to reduce any TP gain. They can also buff you a bit more than you would normally be, and Kite to buy time if for whatever reason both your DDs are weakened. However, you can also use a tank or 3rd slashing DD in that 6th and final spot, and they will be responsible for taking over if that second DD dies and you don't have your Ninja in the group. Therefore, in that time, both of your DDs would be weak, and that 3rd DD would take over. So like I said, there's lots of possibilities here in regards to setups that can use this strategy, so feel free to play with job selections as long as they can do slashing damage. Savage Blade does very well here. That should be all I have to share on the Mbuz run. Let's go ahead and see how these 2 battle examples conclude. Enjoy the rest of the run, everyone. That's going to be it for my Ambus dual strategy video. I hope you found that helpful. If this is your first visit to my channel and you enjoyed the content, please be sure to click the subscribe button under the video and the bell icon next to it to be notified when my future videos are released. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time. Stay safe and stay healthy out there.